In an ocean of Kyles, be a Wonderhussy. Hello, Wonderhussy here in fabulous Las Vegas. One of the biggest, most bustling, cutting-edge, modern metropolitan areas in the entire country. There's fancy hotels, there's flashy cars, there's endless suburbs, and there's lots of noisy traffic. But what if I told you that just 25 miles from where I'm standing right now, we could be in a place that's totally silent and totally unchanged from the way it was over 100 years ago. A place that makes all this hustle and bustle seem like a surreal dream, or maybe nightmare. Let's go back in time 100 years ago to a time when this part of the Mojave Desert was a very different place. Okay, we're here. Does it feel like we went 100 years back in time? Either way, we're not technically here yet, not at the place I wanted to go, but we are at the end of the road. It says no motorized travel behind this point, but you can see a whole lot of yahoos have ignored that and gone driving up there anyway. Well, I'm not one of those yahoos, and besides, that's not where I want to go. This place that I want to go that's 100 or more years back in time, well, I suppose I could have driven all the way to it. But that last little bit of road going straight up that hill doesn't really look like much fun to me. So I decided to park right there and I'll just hoof it the rest of the way. I need some exercise anyway. Okay, as we approach the site, you can see little bits of man-made detritus, like that trash can lid, this Gatorade bottle, this little jar. And so that ought to clue you in that I'm going to someplace that's not totally off the beaten path. I'm just surprised that I haven't been here yet, being as it's only 25 minutes from Las Vegas, where I lived for 21 years. This kind of place is right up my alley. I can see it already. That's right, if you haven't guessed yet, it's an old cabin. Golly, I don't know how people drive up this last stretch of the road. This is steeper than the steepest road I've ever driven, which was out by Hill 582, up by the Cajon Pass, that train spotters park. I thought that road was steep. This is steep and loose, and I'm not exactly wearing the best hiking boots, but it's okay. I made it to the top. Here we are, in the middle of nowhere again. Surprise! Where else would I be? Anyway, you can see we're in a gorgeous high desert, sort of, I guess, chaparral landscape. There's some little scrubby pine trees. I always forget if those are pinyon pines or what. And you can also see there is not a sign anywhere that we're only 25 miles from one of the biggest, most bustling metropolitan areas in the entire country. And like I said, it's totally silent. So you'd never know that Vegas is just right over those mountains there behind me. It really does feel like we've stepped back in time. And especially so if I continue to pan over to this cabin. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to go inside and see what surprises are waiting for me. Although it looks pretty busted, I'm gonna guess there's not too much in there in the way of niceties. Hopefully my car starts and gets me back down the mountain, because I really don't want to spend the night up here. Especially not if this cabin is as busted on the inside as it looks to be on the outside. Okay, before we go in, it's a pretty simple corrugated tin shack, but somebody has come out and put a pretty new American flag up. And the fact that this flag is in pretty good shape tells me that people do come up here relatively frequently. But, you know, frankly, I'm not surprised. Like I said, we're only 25 miles from Vegas, and yes, I'd say the last 3 or 4 were pretty rough miles, so not anybody would want to come out here, but never underestimate the number of Jeepers and side-by-siders that live out here, okay? If you don't live in the West, you might not even know what a side-by-side is, but they're these little off-road vehicles. They're not street legal. They're kind of like modern-day dune buggies, and they are very, very popular in this part of the country. I'm pretty sure most of the tracks on the road I was following were from side-by-sides because, well, there's actually a side-by-side rental place not that far from here. So I'm going to guess that's where a lot of this traffic comes from. I mean, assuming there is traffic up here, and it looks like there is because you can see there's a couple stickers on the outside of the shack, and peeking through the door, I see some names written on the wall. But before we go in, I'm going to make you wait. I'm going to poke around the perimeter and just give everybody a feel for what we're dealing with here, how remote we are for being just 25 miles from Las Vegas. You know, people tend to forget that Vegas is a tiny island of civilization surrounded by basically wilderness. There's not a lot of towns out here. There's not a lot of development. It's mostly just undeveloped desert and then these gorgeous desert mountains. And, well, apparently somebody wanted to live here bad enough back in the day to build this little cabin, which I wasn't able to find any history of this place online. I know there's a spring nearby, which you can probably tell there's a tree of some significance growing there. I think it's a cottonwood. Well, those typically grow by springs in the desert. So there was a water source. There was probably some kind of ore in them there hills. So my guess is this place belonged to some old-time prospector who lived up here and was digging in the ground and in the side of this mountain for, gosh, who knows? But he had water and he had shelter. And again, I don't actually know how old this cabin is. I mean, it certainly looks to be at least 100 years old. Vegas, the city, wasn't really founded or was incorporated in 1905. So depending on how old this cabin is, I don't even know what the closest place would have been for this guy to go get supplies. And it's just hard to imagine this lonely little mountain prospector going into Las Vegas to stock up on beans and coffee and Prince Albert and all those other yummy delights you always find the rusted remains of in these trash piles. I don't know if there's a trash pile here, but if this guy lived here for any length of time, surely there must be. But again, I don't even know. Maybe nobody ever lived up here. Maybe it was always just some random little hunter's shelter. I don't even know what you would hunt out here. Bighorn sheep, jackrabbits, you know, small game like that. I don't know. I mean, this guy was probably, realistically, depending on the year, and I'm going to guess it was after the invention of the automobile, he would probably load his old, and he probably had some old Model T Ford, but those things were tough, man. Yeah, they didn't have very nice suspension, and yeah, the shocks weren't anything to write home about, so it wasn't a very comfortable ride. But he would have loaded that Model T up with all his cans and goods and driven up that bumpy road that I just drove up. And who knows how long he stayed out here between trips into town. I mean, depending on whatever town he went to, how far that was, he might have only gone to town a few times a year. So it definitely would have been a lonely existence up here. Oh, don't peek in the window yet. Don't cheat. Did you cheat? I told you not to cheat. Okay, we'll go in and see what's inside this cabin now. Are you ready to really step back in time? Let's all put our imagination hats on and imagine that we are a lonely old prospector. Oh, let's just say, I don't know, for the sake of this thought experiment, let's say it's 1923, 100 years ago. Okay, so Vegas is a city. Maybe you just finished fighting in World War I. You were in World War I and you breathed in all that mustard gas and you just wanted to come out to the desert and try to clear out your lungs and just be away from people. And so this guy, this World War I vet, and I'm just making all this up, don't quote me on this, let's just say we are that World War I vet. We found this lonely little spot up in the mountains by this natural spring, and we say to ourselves, this would be a good place to build a cabin. Let's check out our handiwork. I mean, we're just one guy living by ourselves, so we didn't need a huge cabin. And this is just one room, and it's pretty bare bones at that. I mean, there's a window on one end. Looks like there was a window there too, but it's covered over with corrugated tin now. There was another window on the other end, and then there's another window right by the door. So there's lots of light, and then look, there's a hole in the wall there behind me. I'll guarantee you anything, that's where the stovepipe went out. There was a little fireplace in here, and you would have needed a wood-burning stove up here in these here hills. It's already chilly. You can see I'm wearing my puffer, and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Imagine how cold it's going to be tonight, which is another part of the reason why I don't want to have to spend the night up here. Anyway, here's a quick pan of the interior of this cabin before I go around and start looking at all the details. Wow, you can see this is rustic. Look at this corner. That's just a tree trunk. It's not even milled lumber. He didn't even bother shaving off the knots where the branches grew out. Still probably better construction than you see on some of those new houses in Las Vegas. Okay, anyway, that's the interior of the cabin. There's the door we came in. I guess I'll just start my tour by looking at the door. The door looks like it does still close, so I suppose that would provide some amount of protection. Like, say I actually did have to stay the night in here and I was trying to stay warm. Well, yeah, there's no glass in any of the windows, so it's not gonna be warm, but I could at least close the door. And the door even, you know, still has the glass in it, so that's pretty cool. Looks like an old door too. Look at that old doorknob. And then just from looking at the back of it, yeah, that's an old door. I'm curious what the oldest graffiti we're gonna find in here is. I mean, just for example, this guy was here in 2017. Well, that's only 6 years ago. That ain't nothing. I'll bet you anything. Let's try to find something from at least the 1970s. Okay, well, none of these stickers on the door look like they're old enough to be from the 1970s, but it's interesting. It's the usual kind of off-roader dirt bike stuff that comes to places like this. But I really like this. It's a Care Bear on a dirt bike with a taco on it, and it says, "Live, laugh, love." I love that because it's not macho like all this other stuff is like super manly. And this guy is just a Care Bear. And then let's see, who else was up here? Oh, there's Wildcats Racing. Oh, Taco Tours. And then we got the Las Vegas Motocross Club. We got Dirt Rider Designs, Uncut Off-Road. Oh dear. If anyone ever says that off-road vehicles are not a penis substitute, I refer them to this sticker. Oh yeah, I could sit and look at this door all day, but there's so much else to see in this cabin that I'd be a fool to spend all my time looking at the door. I can only be up here till 3:30. I told myself I would turn around at 3:30 just so I can make sure to get back down off of this mountain before dark. Cause like I said, I don't want to spend the night up here. Okay, let's see. This guy was in 2022. That's not old. But yeah, look at the cabin itself. I mean, all 4 corners are just tree trunks. Isn't that interesting? And then another thing I think is interesting and sad is there's 2 trash cans in here. I guess where that lid came from. One here, and then one behind the door. The one behind the door, well, it's full of garbage too. Like, who the heck do they think is gonna come up here and empty these trash cans? It just boggles my mind why you would leave your beer cans and your tinfoil way up here. Anyway, here's a bunch of graffiti. Let's see if we can find anything old up here. Oh, I don't know, man. I mean, we got 2017, two-wheel gypsy. We got 2019, 2021, 2023. Golly, where's all the old-timey stuff? Maybe people didn't used to come up here and it's all, well, apparently these Wildcats Racing are real proud of their sticker. And then look at this guy. The Moto Adventures of El Gato. What does it say? MotoOrDie.com. Check them out, guys. MotoOrDie.com. I will say, it looks like he has kind of an interesting sense of humor. Because, yeah, he put his face on Puss in Boots, El Gato. But then look at this other sticker he left. ¿Dónde está Jism? Is that what that is supposed to say? Now, I'm not fluent in Spanish or anything, but I know ¿Dónde está means where is. Jism, I thought was spelled with a J. I'm not really sure what this Moto or Die guy is all about. Check his site out at your own risk. I can't be held accountable for if it's an SFW or not. And then look, here's another sticker. It says, Jazz in the Hat. I will cheer for another beer. Now, what do you suppose that could mean? I mean, this guy's a Jazz aficionado? Is that face on the Cat in the Hat the same guy? Hard to tell if that is that. But the fact that there's 3 same-sized full-color stickers on the wall makes me think it's the same dude. So I don't know what to make of this guy. Look, here's somebody's scratching from 2009. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. I mean, that's only, what, 14 years ago? So it's not very old, but... Well, it's the best I've seen so far. I don't know, though. I don't really see a whole lot of other graffiti in this cabin, and I certainly don't see anything that's from, you know, way back in the day. It looks like on this window here we have... somebody was here in 2013. Oh, maybe somebody came out here and cleaned all the graffiti off of the walls. I can't imagine that's the case. Anyway, there's some more dirt bike detritus strapped to the ceiling. It looks like it's a lot of dirt bikers out here. A lot of hard drinking and hard partying dirt bikers. There's a little bit of a Patron tequila label. There's a little bit of a bleach jug hung from the rafter, and I have no idea why that would be. I mean, in terms of amenities, this cabin is sorely lacking. I mean, there's this really, really busted old bed, and this does look like it might have been here since the days of whatever prospector lived here, because yeah, it's an actual metal spring mattress, you know, mattress coils, but it's sort of jerry-rigged onto these old boards and like this real funky homemade frame. I wouldn't really want to spend the night on this bed or in this cabin in general. Back to the lack of amenities. The only supplies laid in are, well, there's 3 bottles of water, and that could be life-saving. You know, say you're crawling through the desert and you haven't found water in days and you're about to die and you come upon this old cabin with 3 bottles of water. Yeah, it would save your life. Or say your name is Kyle and you're out dirt biking with your bros, Kyle, and you come up to this cabin and you drink all your Patron and all your beer and oh my gosh, you're so thirsty because there's nothing left to drink. Well, this bottle of water would save you from getting in a fist fight with Kyle. You know what I mean? Anyway, the only other amenity, and I wouldn't even call it an amenity, is there is a sort of... Looks like somebody had a fire in here. Maybe this was part of the old wood-burning stove that used to be here. 55-gallon drum with a little stovepipe still poking out the top. Oh, and this real busted... It's like corrugated tin wrapped. I mean, this must have been a real hokey cabin. I mean, if this was the stovepipe, it's just a piece of metal sort of wrapped around itself and then with some wire holding it together. And then look at this. This is a bottle of... Oh my gosh, what is this a bottle of? I can't even tell. It says Buffalo Lithia Water. Wow, what the heck is this? Is this old? I mean, it looks old. That's a thick glass bottle. Nothing on the bottom. Let me see if I can get a better light on it. Okay, I put it in the window so the sun would shine on it, but you still really can't make it out. It just says Buffalo Lithia Water, and then over here... I don't know if you can make that out. Nature's Material. M.E. Dick. Nature's Material. Oh, medical. M.E. Dick. Huh. Shows you where mine is. Okay, so it's some kind of real old-timey mineral water bottle. Gosh, it's so frustrating because the light is so challenging right now. But there's a really cool bas-relief of, it looks like a Native American maybe on it. Like sort of a Art Deco. Oh my god, watch. This is probably some kind of whiskey that you can go buy in any liquor store. And I'm sitting here pouring over it like it's some archaeological find. I don't know. I think it looks like a real old bottle. You tell me what you think in the comments below. But that's pretty much the only real artifact in here. I mean, well, I didn't look in this trash can, but guess what? It's probably full of beer cans. Oh, excuse me, White Claw. And I guess Kyle brought the Kylettes with him on the trip. But yeah, no real artifacts other than that really cool old water bottle. Now, there's kind of a shelf by the door we came in, and there's some more graffiti here. It looks like whoever left behind the Modelo, thank you. That was December 29th of 21. Almost 2 years ago, somebody left Modelo in here and somebody else came and drank it and no one has replenished it. That's a shame. I didn't bring any beers with me, but I did bring, well, I brought some stuff with me and I might leave some of it in here. I'm just not sure because this place is so busted whether it's worth it or not. But anyway, yeah, there's some more graffiti from sadly recent years. Oh, here's a Memorial to some dude in memory of Paul Williams, a great friend and writer. Looks like he lived from 58 to 99. Oh, he was only 41 years old. Gosh, this reminds me of that video I made at the Husky Memorial, which is like a monument to fallen dirt bikers out in the desert outside Barstow. These dirt bikers tend to die young, these gearheads in general, because they're just razzing around, driving too fast and breaking their ribs. And, you know, my doctor friend calls any off-roading toys kidney donation devices, okay? Because, well, I'll let you figure it out. Anyway, I sure hope Paul Williams died doing something he loved and not of something horrible like cancer, you know, no slow, lingering death in a hospital. Hopefully he died merrily blazing down the trail in one of these gorgeous desert canyons, which really wouldn't be that bad of a way to go. So yeah, it looks like some folks came up and paid their respects to the memory of Paul Williams. We got another motocross club sticker, cycle news. Oh, Bob Williams' 80th birthday bash. Oh, I wonder if Bob Williams was the father of Paul Williams. Oh no, that's terrible. Well, at least Bob got to come up here at the age of 80. I guess he was still dirt biking, or maybe somebody drove him up in his side-by-side. Because isn't that, I've never dirt biked. I understand that it's very physically demanding, and I can't imagine that an 80-year-old would do much of it. Oh, look, I just saw something that goes right to the point I was just making about these guys dying young. Drive fast, take chances. Oh, look, it's in memory of some guy named Robbie Pierce, who lived from 39 to 2023. Oh, dang, I take it back. Apparently, this guy liked to drive fast and take chances, but he still lived to be 84 years old. And to be fair, I'm in no position to be judging any of these guys because, well, I took chances driving up here. You know, I don't know if my car is going to start again and get me back down off this mountain. I don't know if I will have to spend the night on this crusty old bed in this rusty old cabin. Well, at least the roof's still solid. Speaking of the roof, look at that. One of these corrugated tin panels. Gosh, what did that used to say? Something dash Louise. Something. Oh my goodness, I wonder what that's from. Now I'm going to be curious for the rest of my days. But I don't have too much time to sit and ponder it because, like I said, I set a turnaround time for myself at 3:30. I got to leave this place by 3:30. So that means I'm going to have to go back down to my car. I guess I will leave some items in this cabin. I mean, yeah, it's real busted and it kind of seems like a waste, but what if Kyle Jr. comes riding his dirt bike up here one day and somehow he falls and has a terrible accident and he breaks his leg and he's stuck in this cabin? You know, what would he eat? There's no provisions in this place. And so I thought ahead and I brought some. Okay, so I brought a selection of, I brought a can of fish, you know, protein, that's important. I got a can of chili. Now it is Amy's organic chili, so it's made with tofu. I don't know how these dirt bikers feel about tofu, but, well, if you're starving, I wouldn't think you would quibble. And then I brought a little baggie of first aid supplies. I don't know that this is enough to address any of the wounds that somebody as manly as Kyle might suffer, but you never know. I brought a flag, but obviously that won't be needed here. The flag here is in good shape. Oh, and then I brought a Clive Cussler novel because, well, if you've ever been to any of these volunteer cabins, you know there's usually some kind of reading material on the shelf, and it's always this kind of thing. So, like I said, there aren't really any cabinets or shelves or anything to put this stuff on, so I'm not sure if this is considered littering or doing a public service. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? If I leave a bag of first aid supplies, a book, and 2 cans of food in this cabin tucked way up here in the hills, just 25 minutes from Vegas, is that a bad thing? I'm gonna say no, and I'll add my supplies to the pantry, or the table will have to suffice for being a pantry. I just kind of tucked the bag of first aid supplies, just like Band-Aids and matches, antibiotic ointment, stuff like that, just for minor scrapes and cuts. And then I put the Clive Cussler book, kind of tucked it in back down there. I'm trying to make it to where they're not going to fall down and blow away, because the last thing I want to do is create even more trash in here. Oh, here's another water bottle that some idiot just threw under the bed. I'll go ahead and put it in the trash can. Not that it's gonna do any good. Like I said, Republic Services doesn't exactly come up here and pick up the trash every Thursday. If I had a garbage bag with me, I'd do it myself, but it didn't occur to me that I should bring a trash bag. You know, I knew I was coming to this cabin today, and so I thought, oh, okay, I'll bring an American flag in case the flag needs replacing. I'll bring some first aid supplies, and I'll bring, some canned goods, a book, you know, things that I normally find in these cabins. I didn't realize it was going to be this trashed. Honestly, I'm surprised that this cabin gets this much action. I'm guessing somebody must have posted about it on a dirt biker website or something like that, because gosh, I didn't even know about this place. And like I said, I lived in Vegas 25 miles from here for 21 years. How about that? Okay, well, it's about, I think it's like 2:45. So I got 45 minutes before I have to go start heading back down. So I'm just going to sit here on the nice sunny west side of the cabin, looking out at this amazing view and enjoy my, well, I was going to say lunch, but it's really more of a snack. I need a break anyway, because that was kind of a white knuckle ride up here. Like I said, I was feeling a little bit more like Wonderhussy than Wonderhussy. Driving around on my brand new shocks, my new suspension was making all kinds of creaking noises. I don't know, I was kind of, well, I'll say it, I was kind of scared about going up here by myself. You know, it's, for only being 25 miles from Vegas, it's pretty remote. But golly, it sure is beautiful. And it smells amazing. I know I say all the time how I wish this was smell-o-vision, but even for almost winter, it does. It smells very fragrant up here from these pine trees. You know, all these scrubby little pinyon pines or whatever they are. I mean, if somebody did used to live here, he had a pretty sweet deal going on. Delicious. Now I'm ready to face the long, bumpy road back down to the valley. But first, I gotta put my sticker up on the wall. Remember, I gotta counteract all that testosterone with my quirky brand of estrogen. I think I can find a spot, hopefully right in the middle. You know, I feel it's rude to cover somebody else's sticker, so how about if I just go right here in the middle, surrounded by all these manly men in an ocean of Kyles. Be a Wonderhussy. Or something like that. Anyway, I don't know what else there is to say or do about this lonely, busted little cabin way up in the mountains outside Las Vegas. So I guess I'm just gonna take my leave and start heading back down to the valley below, where I have some other stuff I want to check out. Although it's getting dark fast, so I'll probably have to save that until tomorrow. Actually, one of the things I want to do, I can do in the dark, but you'll just have to stay tuned to find out what that is next time. See you then.